Essential oils is an important part of the understanding of how supplementation and things in the world of natural health can transform your life. I never realized how much deep science there was there to move on to give me some understanding of what would be serving my interests and my health goals. So next up we have an interview with Dr. Eric Zielinski and his wife Sabrina. They talk about essential oils, how they use essential oils not only for themselves but for their entire family, and what a big impact it can have on your life. Here's an area where I think you're going to learn something new that can make a big difference for you. Guys, thanks so much for sitting with me. Very excited to have this conversation. Essential oils. Now, this is emerging as something that's having a very powerful effect on people's health. And I got to tell you, not long ago, I think most people, when they thought about essential oils, thought that it was kind of like airy-fairy stuff that is pleasant smelling but doesn't have a health impact. Now people are literally supplementing with them and utilizing them in their lives on a consistent basis, and I'm seeing that field emerge and grow quite a bit. So first, let's start with ladies first. What got you interested in essential oils?
Well, my mom's best friend was an Ojibwa Indian, and she taught me medicinal medicine from a young age. And she started me out with 3 essential oils, and I watched how they helped not just transform my skin. I had literally burned off with chemicals. Products, just over-the-counter products, reacted and ate skin off of my face. Ooh. And I watched how we made some homemade remedies using essential oils, and it actually healed my skin and all the scars that I got because of that. And so just seeing that in my life, I knew that this was going to be something I wanted to use again. And now, fast forward so many years, really this is what we have in our medicine cabinets.
Yeah. So you're a mom. You've got how many kids?
We have 4 kids.
4 kids. So are you utilizing essential oils as a part of the supplementation for your children as far as their lifestyle?
Absolutely. And one of the things I remember reading, one of our friends that's a doctor many years ago, when I had just one, and it said, rejoice when your child has a fever. Mm-hmm. And I thought about that. And I thought, yes, because if it does, obviously that's your body's response. Mm-hmm. But then utilizing peppermint and orange essential oils, I watched how my child that's sweating and has all of this fever, their body's going through something, it allowed their body to calm down. Mm-hmm. Their body's still fighting whatever's going on, but then they weren't sweating in their bed and all this other stuff. And within 15, 20 minutes, their body's temperature went back down to almost normal. I might have to apply a couple more times, but I will tell you, it goes back to normal. And there are so many things, threats, that we don't even know what our kids have been affected by. And they we'll use the essential oils on them, and they will have combated it before it ever has blown out into anything. And even on a practical end, sleeping at night. I have a ritual with the kids. I give them, my daughter calls it the royal touch massage. So, and if I forget, I mean, believe me, they say, hey, you forgot something, and they'll lay down on the floor, pull up their shirts, and then they'll throw off their socks because they want me to massage their backs and their feet, and one of them likes his tummy rubbed, and each one of them has their own thing, and so just it helps them sleep at night. It helps them calm down. If it's been a night that we've had run club and we're out doing exercise, I'm going to add a little bit more menthol or peppermint with some lavender so that it will open their airwaves up and knock them out. So it literally on a nightly thing, they recognize the difference in their bodies and they sleep better, and so it helps with all different kinds of things.
Oh, what a great practice. So, Dr. Eric, how did you get into all this?
I gotta say, I fought. When I met Sabrina, she's got her thing. She got her routine. She gets out of the shower, she anoints herself with oils, and she does the stuff, and she walks out smelling like a perfumery. And I didn't think twice of it. I mean, Pat, I would be horrified to play beach volleyball with my guy friends smelling like ylang ylang. They take my guy card away. So I wasn't it wasn't part of my healing story. My healing story had to do with prayer, meditation, and food and exercise. Oils weren't part of it. So it wasn't until one of my clients commissioned me to write a series of public health reports on oils. I was a medical writer at the time. Medical writer for hire, and I was forced, it was my job to read dozens and hundreds of essential oil studies, in vitro, clinical trials, animal studies, all these things. And I was faced with the fact that, okay, maybe what Sabrina's doing is evidence-based, and I just never thought of it until then.
Well, it's interesting. Were you shocked about that there's this much published research on essential oils when you got into it?
Oh yeah, and being a chiropractic researcher, I felt that was really God's way of easing me into this, because chiropractic has really been fringe in a lot of people's minds, and so is essential oil. I mean, essential oils have been bastardized as snake oil, and you mentioned it earlier, patchouli, hippies, people smoking pot, like this whole aromatherapy thing. Well, people don't recognize this is what our medicine has been since antiquity. Yeah. Right? And medicine, chemists just don't invent chemical structures out into the air to come up with drugs. They get the plant structures from essential oils. And then where do you think the antibiotic came from? Right? And we see all these different chemical structures come by. So yeah, I was shocked at first, and then it made sense. Once I started thinking of it, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you look through history.
Well, the idea, I guess, if I were to assimilate, and tell me if you think this is accurate, but if people are taking supplements, vitamins, minerals, what have you, these are compounds from nature that metabolize in the body for a beneficial health effect. Is that pretty much the exact same thing with essential oils, that these are compounds in nature, the body metabolizes them very effectively?
No, 100%. The body will completely metabolize them. There was one research trial in the mid-'80s. This was the hallmark study of how the body completely metabolizes and internalizes essential oils. What they did was they took peanut oil, which I don't recommend. I would actually say right now almond or coconut. They took peanut oil and a few drops of lavender. It was a 1.5% dilution, which means it was pretty diluted. And they applied this ointment over this male patient's abdomen. Within 20 minutes, they detected the chemicals that we know and love as lineol and lineal acetate, which make us love lavender for its calming soporific effects, in the man's bloodstream. Wow. Within 20 minutes. And after an hour and a half, they're gone. Which I don't know any drug on the planet that can completely metabolize anything, because they're going to rest in your fat cells, your liver cells, biochemical buildup. You don't see that. So just like if you were to consume an herb, just like if you were to consume a root, that's what the body does to an essential oil.
Are there anti-inflammatory properties to this that might help people who are struggling with varying problems?
Absolutely. And a lot of times people don't think about citrus as being anti-inflammatory, but even combining citrus and any of the menthol, so especially orange and peppermint together, and utilizing lavender, chamomile, all of those, they're so anti-inflammatory. But one of the things we have to remember is, because my body is different than your body and different than his body, is we have to find out what is the best personally for our bodies. So, when you find different recipes, like we have a lot of different recipes on our website, and when you look at those, you might see all these different oils that might be for pain or inflammation or every topic that you can see, but we list a lot because maybe not all of them are going to be what you need. But then you take those and you find out what works best for you and start with some of those recipes. And then, our goal is that you might print these recipes out and you might have 100 notes on your own page that just turned it into what exactly you need for your body at this time.
Yeah.
What are some of the more common challenges people are facing that utilize essential oils?
One of those is definitely allergies.
Oh, yeah.
People who have problems with allergies, there is a great combination that I have seen work awesome in myself and other people, and that is you've got lavender to calm down some of that inflammation, peppermint to open your body up, lemon to really cleanse things through, and then for people who really need that plus D, tea tree, then working together, not just topically, but also in spritzers, done as a roll-on, for seasonal effects as well as other things that can be a trigger for them. It helps so much.
What else?
Patrick, pain.
Yeah.
Out of all the different research studies, pain, whether it's systemic, whether it's fibromyalgia, there was one research trial that it was so simple, but they took a cotton swab and they just put 2 drops of clary sage and they pinned that on a pregnant woman's gown during labor, and they found that not only did it increase first stage of delivery, but it decreased her pain. Significantly, measurable, just from inhaling clary sage. Multiple clinical trials throughout the world. And the interesting thing is most of the clinical trials that we're seeing are coming from the Middle East. This is the stuff that they've been doing for centuries. We don't see a lot of that research in America yet.
No, you don't. So it's interesting. So people literally can utilize this to help reduce pain, because obviously there's a big problem with drugs and pain medications, and people are having problems even creating serious addiction. and a lot of people are looking for those types of solutions. Anything else that you find that people are challenged with that they take supplements for, and that they find that essential oils might be very effective?
Well, a kind of a big one in piggyback on that, but childbirth. You know, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, obviously, not just with.
Do you know anything about this?
I do. I've had a couple of babies. But there's a few components of it. You know, you have your body is now growing, and you need to accommodate this baby. And essential oils rubbed with carrier oils can really help so you don't get stretch marks.
Yeah, the aesthetic piece, anti-aging
aesthetic
is key.
and anti-aging part of it. But then also we have, you know, we did a perineum massage prior to the baby being born. I never tore or had any problems during the birthing process, which when you have 9-pound, 8-ounce babies, you know, that could be a potential for what happens. But then from that point, getting your body back into shape, getting your body, you know, ready to, you know, it took you 9 months to get into that situation, but also to that tightening and toning effect. I've never seen plant-based compounds that could do all of that within, you know, one thing like essential oils.
Yeah. Weight loss. I mean, that's
Weight
one
loss.
reason why we wrote the book that we did, the Essential Oils Diet, was because research has shown inhaling grapefruit and inhaling lime triggers the brain to produce what's known as lipolysis, just to burn fat cells.
Really?
And so what Sabrina has done, very beautiful wife, 40 years old, competing in the Mrs. Georgia pageant. And so she's competing with girls half her age. She won swimsuit last year, and she had a wrap, like a fat-burning wrap with essential oils, and you could see what it would do to a little bit of the problem areas, a little bit of cellulite, a little bit of loose skin, tightens and tones. Wow. So when it comes to anti-aging, throw away the Botox. Like, let's get out the essential oils. And there's so many other things, Patrick. We can talk about cancer, and we can talk about so many conditions. And the one thing, though, that really touches my heart, because I used to battle with it, was significant depression and anxiety. Nothing can stop a panic attack like essential oils.
Well, I know a lot of people, you know, are taking all kinds of supplements for anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, that's a rampant problem.
Yeah.
So what essential oils do people typically use for that?
Bergamot and neroli. Anything citrus related. One thing we have to remember, and I would challenge anyone watching right now to go into their kitchen, get an orange, a lime, a grapefruit, whatever you have, and just cut it and just smell it. That's the healing power of essential oils. I mean, how can you not smile, right? I'm thinking of being a kid at my lemonade stand with lemons around me. But when you tap into that, especially bergamot and especially neroli, research has shown, I'm not kidding, will stop that panic attack in its tracks and give people their life back. There's so many ways you can ingest it, you can inhale it, applying it over your chest, the back of your neck, so you're a walking diffuser. Because my heart really goes out to people that struggle with those conditions, because I'm a survivor of that.
Well, that was actually my next question. So you just started to describe some of the ways. I mean, I know you could take them in capsules or in other diffusers. So is there preferred ways, or they all work? You just figure out which one works best for you? How does that go?
I think it's really important to figure out what works best for you. And, you know, one of the things that I realized was, you know, my mom had suffered from postpartum depression. So we did the research prior to the first baby, and we prayed about not having that. But using orange and vanilla together, topically on the baby, just from the time she was little, you know. But what I realized was when I'm using it topically, I'm also having the inhalation effects of it. And so I'm like, I'm getting a 2-for-1 deal here. So I think that that's probably some of the easiest, most practical ways to do it, because you can take them internally. But when you're doing that, you're getting 2-for-1.
Yeah. Immune response, does it help boost immune function?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah, we have a story for this.
I suffered through a season where I was just working around the clock. Fresh student out of chiropractic college, broke with a capital B. 3 maxed out credit cards, I'll never forget. I could barely pay rent one month. I had to borrow $2,000 from our landlord, and we were just really going through a tough spot.
Great landlord.
Thankfully, right? I was working around the clock, and I developed pneumonia. And I got to say, before that time, it was nearly a decade before I had an antibiotic, and I was desperate. Because I was in your situation, I was interviewing people for a telesummit. You can't be hacking away and interviewing someone when you're trying to talk to them, right? So I just, nothing worked. I didn't know what else to do, so I got the antibiotic, and it got me through 2 weeks of feeling like junk, and then it came back worse. And I'm like, okay, I got through my interview stage, I'm not doing this again.
And we both had it.
And we both, because we had toxic mold, I should have said this.
Yeah.
We had toxic mold in the home, we ended up moving. So mold compounded by working on the clock, not taking care of myself, and we developed what I call my Dr. Z's flu shot, which is a combination of our immune boosting oils with lipospheric vitamin C, which I love that supplement. So I took some lipospheric vitamin C, some coconut oil, a little bit of Himalayan salt, and our immune boosting shot. And this is what it is. It's 1 drop of clove, 1 drop of cinnamon, 1 drop of eucalyptus, lemon, orange, and rosemary. And so whatever your favorite brand is, they all have their version of that, but they work synergistically. And it is an extreme immune boosting, just inflammation reducing power pack that it saved me from pneumonia. Because I would have 3 or 4 doses a day for 2 weeks.
So what is steam distillation?
You know, Patrick, there are a number of ways where you can inhale essential oils, and one of the most popular is through an ultrasonic diffuser, which is essentially, it's a water container with a vibrating disc at the bottom that vibrates at such a high speed and emits microscopic water particles and microscopic essential oils. And so you have a choice. You could get, like when I was a kid, I used to get a big hot bowl. My mom used to put boiling hot water with a couple teaspoons of Vicks Vapor Rub, and I would just steam it with a tent over my head with a towel, or in the modern day version is you get this ultrasonic diffuser. So it's a steam diffuser that just emits the microparticles in the air. It's a great, safe way. You don't have to worry about having children or pets around because it's extremely dispersed, and it's a great way of getting the oils in your body.
Well, I'd say your enthusiasm for this subject is contagious, and I believe every word you're saying because you just have that much enthusiasm and clarity around it. So I certainly appreciate you sharing this. Now, a lot of people still are talking about this when we're exploring the subject of supplements, but I have to say that this is something that I think most people should explore based on what you're telling me. So thanks very much for showing up and sharing this.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Creating healthy families is a big deal. It's something that matters a lot. When people and families are sick and suffering or taking too many medications, it becomes a drag on everybody. So I really like the message that Dr. Eric Zielinski and his wife Sabrina brought to the Supplements Revealed audience. Thanks for tuning in.